Hey guys, Mystery Wheel Gunner back here with you again with a mini revolver overview, or I should say a mini overview of a revolver. This is not a mini revolver. It is a Smith & Wesson 617, which is built on the K-frame. Yep, the very same frame size that is host to the Model 19 in 357 Magnum. But this 617 is chambered in .22 long rifle. It's in all stainless steel and has a 4-inch barrel. There is a 6-inch barreled version as well. I went with the 4-incher because, well, it was a good excuse to get my first 4-inch barreled revolver. It has a black Patridge style front sight. It is pinned in, so if you don't like this particular sight, you can always knock that pin out and get a replacement front sight. Or if you just want a little more contrast, you can just do it the cheap way like I do and just paint on it if you wish. Rear sight is fully adjustable, click adjustable for windage and elevation. It is a 10-shot revolver, so yeah, getting kind of dangerous there, huh? If it held one more round, it could be one of them nasty assault rifles or something. While we're looking at the cylinder and the chamber holes, check this out. Yeah, look at that. A recessed cylinder. Luxurious. Just like they built them back in the old days. Back when men were men and women wore pointy bras, apparently. Okay, I'm being a little facetious here, but you know, some people crow about the, the Model 29-0s or whatever, back when they used to countersink and recess the cylinders and the cartridges sat flush with the cylinder, and that is pretty cool. Of course, the modern center fire revolvers no longer do that, probably more than likely a cost-cutting measure, and it really doesn't affect performance, but it's one of those, oh, that's how they did them back in the old days. And yeah, they still do it, well, for the rim fires anyway. I'm not an engineer or a gunsmith, so I assume there is a good reason why they still do the countersunk chamber holes for the rim fires. But I felt it was kind of neat that all the center fires have gone to the cost-cutting measure, while a rim fire like this, still gets that luxurious appointment. Again, I know it's probably more for function than luxury. Looking at the grips here for a moment, I sadly have to say that these pretty grips are not the ones that come with it. It came with these. Yeah, the old ugly rubber grips. They're not bad, to be honest, but yeah, not exactly the prettiest grips on the planet. Good news though, the K-frame that this revolver is on will accept any grips that are built for either the K or the L frame. So if you spot a pair of 686 grips you really like, you can slap those on this thing. In fact, these wooden grips did in fact come from a 686. If you look at these, yeah, these are those paint-o-matic grips. Look how little wood there is near the top. On a 686 firing 357 Magnum, this hurts quite a bit, at least for me. Call me a wimp, but that 686 with these grips, that was not fun to shoot. So I gave some fat grips to that 686, and these grips just sat in a drawer until they found their way to this gun. With 22, there's hardly any recoil considering the 22's low power and this gun's heft. So the paint-o-matic grips are really not that painful on this gun. But anyway, yeah, that was my long-winded way of saying these comes with the ugly grips, not with the pretty grips. For the price you pay for this gun, though, you'd think they'd throw in some pretty grips. But, oh well, that's not the case. And speaking of price, let's talk about this gun's price point. I bought it about a year ago from Brownells at one of their Christmas sales, an online Christmas sale. And with my transfer fee at the FFL, I think total I paid for the gun was around $620, $625, somewhere around there. Not a bad price for this gun, but obviously you can see that it's priced pretty close to the Model 19s and the 686s of the world. So it's not a cheap gun, and it's only chambered in 22 long rifle. So in other words, it's a pretty expensive plinking gun. There are other 22s out there that are a lot cheaper. The Smith & Wesson Victory can be had for $300. The Smith & Wesson Compact 22 usually sells for right around that price point. The Compact 22, I often see the threaded barrel version right around $300 to $320. There's also a threaded barrel version of the Victory for right around $320 or so. So in other words, there are cheaper and more versatile 22 handguns out there. No, those two I mentioned are not revolvers, but if you just want a plinking 22 handgun, there are far cheaper options. So in other words, this revolver, I'd have to put it into the enthusiast's territory. Again, if you just want a good, accessible, plinking handgun, there are better options for you than this one. But if you're a revolver enthusiast and you want a 22 revolver that feels like it's big brothers, the Model 19 and the 686, I think this would deserve a place in your collection. But again, only if you're one of those only if you're one of those revolver enthusiasts. Okay, I got to talk about something else you should be aware of with this gun. It's not really the revolver's fault, but it is chambered in 22 long rifle, and 22 shoots dirty. Some brands shoot dirtier than others, but 22, generally speaking, is pretty darn dirty. And unfortunately, the revolver has a particular weakness to dirty ammo. If any bit of particulate, whether it's unburnt powder, semi-burnt powder, or just some carbon stuff, if any of that accumulates underneath the extractor star, guess what? You're not going to be able to close up the gun. You'll feel the resistance right about at this point here. Now, you don't want to force it. Okay, revolvers are made so that they should be able to close up easily. You should never have to force the cylinder closed. So if this happens to you, if it starts to bind like this, you know what you got to do? Yep, you got to, hopefully you'll have some sort of brush with you. You just have to brush underneath the extractor and around the chamber holes. Even if it looks clean, and I've had this happen several times when I'm shooting, I'll finish off a cylinder, I'll reload, and as I try to close up the gun, it just won't go. And I'll eject the new cartridges, I'll look underneath there, and to the naked eye, it looks clean. But guess what? It doesn't take much to bind this up. So even if you don't see anything, just take a little brush, just buy some cheapo paintbrush down at Lowe's or something, and just keep it with you in your range bag, and when it starts to bind up, just sweep underneath there. No need to squirt oil in there, because it's not a lubrication issue. It's just a debris issue. And again, some brands are just super dirty. When I use the Remington Golden Bullets in this thing, man, I'm sweeping out that extractor every cylinder full. Shoot 10 shots, dump the shells out, sweep underneath, then reload. Now, cleaner ones, Federal Champion, I've used that before. That's a little bit cleaner. I can usually go 4 to 5 cylinders before something gets caught up in there. And yes, I know what you need to do to eject the shells. Hold your gun up vertically so that the barrel's pointing up and the extractor star is pointing straight down. You give the rod a sharp tap. That way the force of the extractor star plus gravity will dump the shells out faster and supposedly make sure that all the particulate falls free of the extractor. But guess what? Even with a textbook perfect extraction, if the 22 ammo you're using is dirty, guess what? That particulate will find some way to stick in a place that's going to bind it up. So it's not a big deal, but just keep a brush with you. And if you find that you're brushing out the extractor really often, like I did with the Remington Golden Bullets, well, guess what? You probably should avoid that brand. It's not going to hurt the gun if you continue to do so, but it'll just make it kind of a pain in the butt to keep using this gun at the range. So all in all, the 617 is a very good, solidly built revolver in 22, but it is unfortunately priced away from those who just want a good plinking gun, and it's priced more towards the revolver enthusiasts. But if you are a wheel gun enthusiast, you might find that this is actually well worth the price. Alrighty, that about wraps it up for this mini overview. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.